And the women always come through, back to back this time, from Super Falcons to D Tigresses. So let's look closely at this win and what it means for women's sports, and of course, you know, the example to the men. Joining us now is our sports correspondent, the indefatigable Cecilia herself. Hello, Cici.
Yeah, I'm good. Buki, I love your smile.
Day, right?
Yeah, obviously. I had to like...
I'm sure it was a weekend of celebration for you, Cecilia.
Yeah, it was amazing. From Saturday, right, against Senegal, you know, like, everyone was like, what's going to happen to the Tigers? Well, somehow, you know, when these girls are pushed to the wall, they just have a way, because they, you know, after that semi-final, they, you know, on their social media, they were saying that they're practicing for their $100,000. And when they say that, you know, I mean, immediately they said that the money, they're in trouble. And of course, and the trouble started, it didn't start early for the Malians, because usually, you know there's something about the Tigers. They start slow in most of the games they play. They'll start slow, but after that, if you give them a little, just a little space like this, I mean, they take it on. From the first quarter,
yeah,
where they lost by 4 points. The second quarter, what happened? You know, it was 26-21, and then same happens in the third quarter. They were tied on 41 apiece going into after halftime. And then Emi Okonkwo, the MVP of the tournament, again, you know, she had to do something that it's something that which I expected, but not everyone expected, because the Malians were defending in zones when they went into that third quarter. But somehow, she just, when she had that 3-pointer, they understood what they needed to do, that, hey, this mission of zone defending wasn't going to happen for them. So they had to switch play, and immediately they did that. I mean, Ezine Kalu, Emi Okonkwo, they just took over, understanding that mission, that they knew what they needed to do, and they went ahead and they did that, which was really a remarkable thing for the girls, because anytime you see these girls step on court, they have one mission. That's to win. Since 2015, almost 10 years, the last time they lost was in the third place match against Cameroon, the host nation in Yaoundé. That was 2015. In October 2nd precisely. So it's almost 10 years. They haven't lost again. So he tells you that, yes, when these girls step on court, they're winning. 5 in a row. Yeah. No nation has done that. That's historic.
So what can we learn, not just from the girls now, but from Coach Caroline Wakama herself? I believe, according to news, she's the first woman coach back-to-back. Back-to-back. Yeah. So what can we learn?
It's resilience, really. And, you know, there's just, you know, when she was appointed, all of us, including me, I was like, where's her pedigree? What's happening here? I mean, she's just... And then we saw when she took Nigeria to the tournament the last time, she won. And then again, I'm like, what's going on here? I think what we need to learn is to trust in people. She knew what she wanted to do, because that first championship was actually difficult for her. That was when, you know, Nigeria was banned at a point by the former minister, Sunday Dare. I'm still beefing him for that. you know, because the girls demanded what they wanted. They wanted something. I mean, they've been neglected for a very long time, and then they were demanding, you know what, you need to pay us. If you don't, if we go to the world stage, we're going to let the world know. And because of that, they said, you know what, you guys won't play. And then go to the World Cup. And then they brought in Wakama, okay, change everything. Most of the girls pulled out. She had to, like, you know, we're calling it, they were scouting for players. They threw everything open, fill the form, come to camp, and if you're good enough, we'll pick you. You know, that's how they selected that team that won the last one. And then, of course, after they saw that, Sarah Ogoke, I mean, give it to her. She just gave birth, and then she gave it like last year in November, and then she back into the squad when she was called. She still had a little baby, you know, going around her. So Sarah Ogoke was one of those experienced players that were there. Most of the senior players didn't turn up. But then going into the Olympics, some of them, okay, decide to, like, you know, come in and at least try to help the team. But what we've seen with Wakama is the fact that she can actually handle these girls. She understands them. She tells them, look, you don't have to be distracted with what is currently going on. Just focus on winning. And once you win, people will recognize. They don't have a choice. And that's something about women. Some people will say, oh, women, they make mouth. But they don't just make mouth. I mean, they do these things because they understand and they know that if I don't win, no one is going to recognize me. And so they need to work twice as hard as the men. And that's what Reina Wakana, that's what she has done. She knew that people doubted her ability. They were thinking, will she be able to do this, what Coach Hughley has done? And she came on, she stepped up as if Coach Hughley never left. So we just continue on the successes that we've had. You know, she came in when we had the triplet, and then she did the fourth one, and then the fifth one. historic, right?
Ideally, both of you should just have this conversation. We're spectators.
We actually wanted to do the set. So that
Both of you will just do yours.
do your thing so that there's no interference from any of us. Because we don't know what we'll say now. That we use against us.
No, it's fine. Come on, it's sports. No, we were not discussing police sports.
Absolutely.
So sports, you're free.
But let's walk through their performance. So, Ezinekalu, 20 points.
Yes.
Scored the most on the night. But Amy somehow had more three-pointers. And she was just very, very
4
dangerous.
of 7.
Everything, she was just a threat from any corner.
Yeah, because she turned the game around. I mean, they were tied on 41-41 going into the second half.
Yeah.
After when the second half started, that's
Into
the
the
third quarter.
Yeah.
And then she just threw that 3 when they were trying to do their zona defending and everything. And they had to switch play. What's going on? So you can't zone. You can't. What are you going to do to the Tigress to stop them? Because if you're trying to defend in zones, they're going to throw 3. And Amy, 4. I mean, the last one she threw also, she also saved the best for the last. That 3-point jumper.
It was so painful.
It was painful,
in fact,
really.
They had to stop and just
yeah,
let the
of course.
clock run out.
Run out.
So we had Morjanatu, we had Victoria, Macaulay as well.
Yes, she has 10 points. So 3 players actually literally accounted for that 78 point that we had. 20 from Ezinekalu, you mentioned, 19 from Amy Okonkwo, and of course 10
Victoria
from
had 10,
Victoria Macaulay.
And Morjanatu had 9.
Yeah, just like that. I mean, and the best player had 16.
It's teamwork. We're proud of all of them.
Yeah.
Let me get ahead of myself.
Okay.
The part that the president is expecting them. That's the part.
So I'm known. They will be in Abuja. So
that's the part I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Because the president has set a record. Now, Max, I'm wondering to myself, if I was the president, what would I be thinking? What did I do to myself now? So what do you think is going to happen? You know, we asked you to predict the last time, and your prediction was good. So look into your crystal ball.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to other technical conversation.
Okay.
But so that I don't lose track of this one.
Yeah.
Because according to you, they say, they are playing for their $100,000.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be heartbroken.
They won't be heartbroken.
What would be fair?
What would be fair is that $100,000.
Okay.
Maybe the president can just okay.
They are not as much as footballers, right?
He can just he can just because they are actually not so much.
How many are in total? Backroom staff and the players.
Yeah, I think basketball backroom staff sometimes it's hard to know because they won't give you correct figures.
But as we know, we have 1 head coach and 2 assistants.
2 assistants that we know. Then you can have doctors, maybe 1 physiotherapist if they have, nutritionist if they have, because sometimes it's shrouded in mystery and you ask questions, really don't get details of their backroom staff. I remember what happened, I think it was in Rio Olympics. In Rio Olympics where, the coach then, it was like, they had to stop some of his backroom staff from coming in, and because the numbers were actually much. So
but we don't know 12 how many players on the court.
Yeah, of course we know
12 players. At least 3 were sure of that. So that's 15.
Yeah, we're sure of that. Which is then with 3, of course, we're sure of that. And then you have maybe the media attaché 1, and then maybe you can have 2 or 3. Max, it should be like maybe 20, I think.
So back to my crystal ball. $100,000. What else?
Yeah, $100,000, and like what he did to the Super Falcons can do that to the girls, really, because if you check, the Super Falcons, they've even tried, but for these basketball players, the qualifiers they did.
Go there. You have to tell us what they went through. Let us know.
When a coach comes to a tournament, she had to manage players because all of them are not there. Maybe ring around. How do I put it now? You don't have the full complement of your players because flights. I mean, some couldn't get money to fly down. There's so many issues that you're wondering what's going on.
This was $100,000. I know why I'm asking this question. If they didn't have transport to travel, let's know. If they didn't have food to eat, let us know now. You're the one that watches the space. So full disclosure now.
Yeah.
It's true. The president is what
says like should I?
No, it's not should I say, because you have to try to sieve what is truth and what is like a propaganda, so to speak. But in a nutshell, in all, I mean, it's the fact that the Tigress have really been neglected. The fact that we don't even have a viable league here will tell you a lot. So rely on all the players. If you check out the players that played, apart from Musa Mujinatu, she was the one that was born here and was able to get from the traveled and then move over there. The others are all foreign base. Before, we used to have like a team here, maybe 2 or 3 players from here, and then maybe the others, you know, there's just this mix. We always have them. But now, you really don't have that. Because why? The league started in late July, so we are in the first phase, you have second phase and third phase. Under 1 month or 2 months, the league is over. I mean, you have countries that could play up to, you know, 40 games in a year, but the maximum we play usually 10 or 12 games, and then that's it. That's aside. And then you look at the girls. Sometimes they're going for a tournament. They are not sure they will even go. And you don't have, you usually have skirmishes. You have a basketball, you usually have, there's a warm-up games, you know, before tournaments. Have you ever heard of the Tigers actually having warm-up games? So it's always hard. So these are the things we'll talk about. They don't have. They're just like, okay, you know what? Everybody come together. We'll stay maybe in one camp for 2-3 days, and then they move over to the country where they're playing. So there's just this thing that
there's no structure.
That's been dead for a long time, for like maybe since this current Kida administration came on. It's no longer there. Before, they used to bring them to Lagos. I mean, you see them, you know, you see them practice, play warm-up games. When in the past 3 years, it's actually gone down. So I don't know how these girls keep winning in the past what they've done in the past 5 years. Let's just say since COVID. What they've done since COVID is something that's been remarkable, because the focus is no longer there. We're just like, okay, we know that when you call upon them, they will come, they will play, they will win. Imagine a serving sports minister, you know, preventing players from competing at a World Cup they qualified for. And that World Cup, I mean, it was crazy. That's the one I said they didn't have a full complement of all the players. I mean, some of them even landed a day to when the qualifiers was going to start. But against all odds, they did all that. They qualified for it. And then because they were asking for what is actually due to them, and you say, you know what, you guys can't play. You can't go there and disgrace, so you've been bound for 1 year. But later it was, you know, when they understood what they did was actually wrong, yes, it was lifted, but it was a little too late. Nigeria missed out of that World Cup. I mean, well, we had the momentum that we built, you know, just coming back from the hills of winning the Afrobasket, how they qualified for that tournament. That alone should tell you, how do we really take you know, sports, how do we take it seriously? Could have called them to a table and, you know, discuss with them and tell them this is what we want. Why is it that right now the men, they won only 1 title, right? I'm not trying to compare, but do we have a team you can say you can actually call on? Most of the players that used to play for us from the NBA, they don't bother anymore because it's hard. They can't take what the girls are taking because they can't actually stomach and swallow that. So because of that, the girls understood that yes, we need to play for pride, we need to play for ourselves, we need to play for recognition. I'm happy we have a president that recognizes this, that he understands that yes, I mean, sports alone is passion, and welfare is top-notch. If you pay players, if you have a structure on ground, there is no way they will not win.
But you see, yeah. I was coming to that concern about, you know, most of our players being foreign-based, you know, and the seeming disconnect with what the president has been able to do with the reward for the Super Falcons and the management of the sports itself. So if, you know, the president can channel this much resources to reward, why is that, you know, the inability to apply same to developing the sport itself?
Thank you very much. That's what we've been asking. You know, this just started under, you know, President Bola Tinubu's watch. I mean, we usually don't, we Super Falcons have won 9 titles before this 10th one, right? I mean, we heard of land houses or anything. I mean, as I used to say, MON without the money. You know, that's what they gave them the last time. You know, but now, OON with the money. You know, that's a difference, because that's what President Bola Tinubu has done. You know, bringing back the National Sports Commission, I hope that's a step in the right direction. I mean, I don't like using that word, but then we have to use it. But I hope that's a step forward. National Sports Commission, yes, I understand they are supposed to develop a template that they are following. I mean, we've seen success. We've not seen any of our team actually missing out of a major competition, which was, you know, a norm back then, and you miss out this. Apart from the China where they didn't apply on time. I mean, the World Relays Championship in China, where the AFN should be flogged for that because they didn't apply on time, and then they didn't get visa to attend that. But that wasn't due to funding. So funding has become like a thing of the past and since the National Sports Commission came on, because they try as much as possible. Because usually, remember the last time the Tigers were going to go for Afrobasket, you know, they went on Twitter, you know, we don't have money to travel to, and it was Tunisia, an African country. I'm like, an airline can actually volunteer and just take these guys there, but it didn't happen. So we haven't seen that under this administration. What we've seen is the fact that, I mean, teams now can easily just, we are going for a competition, we have the money, we can travel. That is there. But that development is what we're talking about now. Now, there should be a structure. I don't know what NSC can do, what they can say to Musa Kida, the current president of Nigerian Basketball Federation, to have a viable basketball league in Nigeria. We actually need that. The success that these girls are reeling out is nothing. There's nothing coming from Nigeria. Nothing. It's just them. They're good at their club, they're good at their games, and so they bring that in. Add the Niger spirit, of course, we talk about. They're just good at what they do. And so they come together and they have a very wonderful coach who is doing all the job. So you can't say, when people say, oh, this administration has done well with this. No, you did not put anything, you did not invest in these players. They were born abroad, they invested in themselves, development from parents to the country that actually trained them, made them who they are. So what are you putting in? So that's why when you ask me if you're going to give them like 100,000 quid, I'm like, you can do more than that, because you haven't invested in these players. That is a fact that we need to understand. So if NSC on their own can decide to, like, you know what, we need to set up a viable basketball league in Nigeria for men and for women. The men's one is going to start later this month. They're going to play in maybe August, September and October, and that's the end.
Yeah, I wanted to find out from you, Cecilia, is basketball as it is, Nigeria is not really a basketball nation.
You can't say that. It's basketball at the point. The basketball was like second to football, yes.
I'm comparing it to football now.
Okay, I play basketball.
I started covering sports. Basketball drew me to sport, actually. Okay. Football wasn't my first interest.
I'm just saying that generally, football is a bigger sport here. So that doesn't sound like tokenism, on the other hand, because if you're making a business case, you have to make the business case strong enough to say, in terms of the population buy-in, so that corporates buy in. I love those girls. There's no, they've literally, they've done things that it's just like building, like literally everything in our country. Unfortunately, we built it from scratch. Nollywood was built from ground zero. Literally everything is built from ground zero. Then government comes to cash in on it. The bigger thing now is, how do we consolidate and build structure besides all of the largesse that the president is giving them. So my question is, in terms of structure, if you were to itemize 3 things that needs urgency to revive the structure of, let's say, basketball in Nigeria, what would they be?
First of all, I mean, you have to build infrastructure. You know, you go to Côte d'Ivoire, you go to South Africa, you go to Rwanda, you go to Kenya. I mean, you go to these countries, they have how do I put it? They have sporting facilities. We don't have an indoor sport hall in Nigeria for basketball that you can equate with what you have in Rwanda. We don't have that in the whole of Nigeria, or what you have in Côte d'Ivoire, or what you have in Cameroon. We do not have that, apart from the few ones that have been built by private individuals. So first of all, you invest in that infrastructure. And number 2, you have a league. Now, do you know our women's basketball league is being sponsored by the biggest bank in Nigeria? You know that, right?
No, I don't know. You're telling me.
Zenith Women's Basketball League. That's what it's called. Yes, that's what it is called. So that's our league. I mean, how many of the women's team, football, is being sponsored by a big... There is none. So when you talk about financial benefit, I mean, that's number 1. And number 2, at a point, the cable network, DSTV, were the sponsors of Nigerian Basketball League. I mean, they were showing it live. We could watch basketball game live. And then when they left, Kwesi came on. So we've had that. But when the court cases started, the drama series, you know, let me use Austin's words. When the drama started, the court cases here and there, it kind of stunted the growth. And after that, nothing happened. So since COVID, everything went down the drain. So I'm asking the question, I mean, that you ask, what happened to those things at that time where you have, you know, the multinationals who were buying into basketball, the cable network, you could watch, you could sit in the comfort of your home. And Saturday afternoon, you may not want to watch football. You can switch to your cable network and you're seeing basketball league going on in Nigeria. It was in Lagos. We leave office early to go to the stadium, National Stadium, to watch basketball games live. And it was interesting. You know, basketball has entertainment in between. You know, that's the thing about basketball, you know, you have the cheerleaders, you have musicians coming in to perform and everything. So the halftime shows are always there. So when you talk about sports and entertainment, basketball, that's what epitomizes that.
You know, the magnificence of a sport depends on our contributions to it, you know, and that speaks to how some countries own a particular sport. You know, when you consider the Olympics, you expect that these countries will, you know, get all of the medals for this sport. And if the girls can do this much, you know, without the structure, it speaks to the potential when we commit all of the resources to it. You know what, Cecilia, in the absence of seeing Rashidat Ajibade and Amy Okonkwo, I plan to lift you up. You know, and I'm going to try to do just that.
What do you want to do?
Okay, I'll just give you a hug. Like, so expecting.
What are you going to do?
I was going to lift you up.
I was scared for a bit.
So Cecilia Omorebe is our sports correspondent. I'm going to lift her up after, you know, the show today.
Well, I'm going to lift the trophy.
And the excitement
Lift the, she's not, are you a trophy?
That the Super Falcons have done, how they've done us proud, and Cecilia representing us at that stage as well. Thank you so much, Ceci, for coming through.
Thank you, guys.